for children.
Yes.
Hello, Tadeo.
I could
Don't
feel you
say how
coming,
many.
honey.
I wasn't.
Yes, like a wave, right? From Hawaii.
Begin with your Ustream.
Okay. What have you learned lately from a mistake that you made?
Mistake? I learned that I don't make them. I learned that everything that happens for a reason, so I wouldn't call it a mistake. Unexpected things? Absolutely. But I don't call them mistakes. I call them unexpected adventures, unexpected perspectives, things that open up a doorway, a window to something new and something different that gives me an opportunity to look at something from a new perspective, a different perspective, and discover a new aspect and a new understanding of myself as I grow. So we don't really call them mistakes, but they can certainly be unexpected.
That definitely demonstrates how your energy is uplifted by recalibrations, in a sense.
Yes.
As opposed to feeling like you made the same mistake again, or, the kinds of things that humans
If I make the same mistake again, it's because I enjoyed it so much the first time. That would be the only reason.
So can you have an error in judgment?
In a sense, yes, of course we can. Because we don't know everything. We are evolving like you are. Now, it doesn't happen that much anymore because of our evolutionary place and because we are tapping more into our spirit selves and have a broader picture, a bigger point of view. But it can happen again. It happens as an unexpected happenstance in certain ways that you can say goes back to a so-called quote-unquote error in judgment. But since we don't really have insistences and assumptions and expectations in that way, an error in judgment, well, that's a relative term because a so-called error in judgment can put us in a place that gives us profound information we otherwise wouldn't have had. So was it an error?
It's so amazing how this illuminates the difference between thinking supportive thoughts or choosing supportive thoughts.
Yes.
On a very simple thing like the idea
Yes.
of quote-unquote mistakes.
Yes, I'm not saying that's an egotistical position. Oh, I can simply do no wrong. But it's an idea of allowance. It's an idea of recognizing that we don't know everything. And therefore, we are capable of being surprised by things, and things may go in unexpected directions other than what we may have to some degree thought. But we don't put so much into our thoughts that it's really that much of a surprise that things don't go that way. Because we allow for the flow. We allow for those things to happen. Therefore, how can we really be surprised that they do, other than by being delighted by something that we didn't know was going to happen?
So is this sort of part of the human neurosis that we put so much into making the right decisions,
Yes.
discerning accurately, that our self-worth becomes tied up?
Absolutely.
And then you can't even learn from the mistake because you're so concerned that it might show that you're worthless to begin with?
Correct.
Does that sound familiar? So it's very interesting that just this kind of a change could have such a profound effect on the way you live your life when you find
Yes.
that you have changes in the way you perceive something.
Isn't that what we have always said about if the definitions you're using don't work for you, create a definition that does? It's the same thing. Create a definition that works for you. So instead of going, oh, I made a mistake, I made an error, something's wrong, I'm not worthy, it's like, oh, things didn't turn out as I assumed or expected, even if I did really assume or expect that much anyway, which I probably didn't. But nevertheless, it must have brought me to a place that's going to serve me in ways I couldn't possibly have comprehended from the state I was in before. But now I'm in a new state. I wonder what's going to happen. Oh, this is going to be fun. That's a different definition. And it creates a completely different experience. So why not choose that if that's the kind of experiences you prefer? Because remember, experience is a result of definition, not the other way around.
And even that attitude, doesn't it come from the idea that the universe is a benevolent place?
It comes from the idea that the universe is an allowing place. And that is the most benevolent thing it can do, is allow whatever you choose to be real to be real. Remember, unconditional support, unconditional love, unconditional existence. So you can choose to experience the universe as non-beneficial because it is so allowing, it will allow you to assume that it's not beneficial to you. That's how allowing it is.
So if you project onto it the idea that it's a beneficial universe in the sense that because the basic vibration is love and everything that you create is designed to teach you to become more expanded.
Yes.
That you can actually trust that what you're experiencing can be used in a positive way.
Why not?
And then mistakes are very different from that perspective.
Yes, because they're not really mistakes anymore. They're course corrections, unexpected course corrections.
It's really, let's see, where do thoughts come from? And which comes first, emotions or thoughts?
Emotions come first, after definitions that you believe in. Then emotions, then thoughts, then behaviors.
And what is a thought?
Well, it's the idea of a feeling that generates a vibrational resonance that then sets up that resonance in the neurological patterns of the brain that then create coherent thoughts that go along with that feeling and then together create behaviors that reflect the thoughts and the feelings in the vibrational patterns that were set up in those systems in your body.
So do humans have certain thoughts? That's the collective, right? Where humans have very similar thoughts.
You can allow there to be a similarity of thought by having a similarity of frequency, but the similarity of frequency comes from having a similarity of definition.
I was just thinking about the idea like a beagle dog, his
Yes.
highest excitement is to run around and smell things.
Sometimes.
A lot of times, having known a few beagles in my day.
Yes.
And with humans, obviously, we're really into thought and thinking and communicating our thoughts to each other.
And that's fine, but understand that your thoughts are still representative of things that you believe to be true and things that you feel to be true. And the way you deliver the thoughts is usually done through a behavior that also matches the idea of the thoughts and the feelings and the definition. Okay. It's actually delivered as a whole package. You may think that you're just having a conversation of thoughts, but if you actually pay attention to body language when thoughts are being exchanged, you'll see it's far more than that.
Because it's just the desire to communicate and to experience a reflection.
Yes.
I had a request for you to describe the triskelion, the family crest.
To describe it?
Yes, and to explain the meaning of it and something along those lines.
Well, the idea, again, is that the crest is representative of first contact specialists. Yes? So the triangle is the basic unit underlying physical reality. It's the simplest geometric you can have that actually has some degree of dimensionality. A tetrahedron, a triangle, it's a stable form. It's the first stable geometric. So it represents the concept of physical reality. The fact that it's a triskelion means the arms extend beyond the triangle. This is us reaching out to different aspects of creation, reaching out to different civilizations. The spiral in the middle is the activation principle. It's the energy, it's the vibration that we share with those of like mind. It is the activation principle that drives us forward to follow our passion and make connection with those throughout the cosmos.
Thank you. In regards to the idea of infinite parallel realities,
yes.
Does this idea mean that any weird idea or conspiracy theory, for example, that someone believes in or can imagine to be true actually exists as a physical reality that they will shift to?
It does exist. Whether they shift to it or not depends upon the degree to which they buy into it.
So, what is the challenge associated with conspiracy theories, since that seems to be part of the human conversation of what is true and what is not true and what is quote unquote conspiracy theory?
The challenge with it is similar to the conundrum that we have put out before, where, well, I'll ask the question back to you. What is the worst form? And again, to some degree, I'm being metaphorical, but I have to use this terminology because it's what you understand. What is the worst form of hell? The one you don't know you're in, because then you can never get out. So conspiracy theories have a quality where they can act as an entrapment for the mind in such a way that you can really not find your way out in a physical lifetime if you go too deep. It's a kind of negative belief system that perpetuates itself in a unique way that traps you in what you believe to be the only real reality and doesn't give you the tools, or makes the tools invisible by which to unravel that reality if you go too deeply within them.
Yes, because there's a lot of discussion about, well, what harm is there in these ideas?
That is the harm.
And there is harm in them.
But it's self-harm. You're creating that harm for yourself.
Because it then does not allow you to discern the truth even when facts are presented to you.
Well, it doesn't allow you to discern another truth, a different truth. Because remember, all truths are true. You're making it true for yourself by vibrating in accord with it. So it is a truth, but it may not necessarily be the truth that gives you the benefit of having a perspective that will allow you to make other kinds of choices.
So that, in a sense, is a way to discern it. If the belief system excludes all other possible realities.
Yes. But the thing of it is again, it's like the phrase that a person who is in denial that they're in denial. Because if you go too deeply in it, there is no capability of recognizing that it has shut out all other truths, because it's made the one truth seem like the only truth, to the point where you don't even think that there are other truths. So that's the hell you don't know you're in.
That's a description of hell.
Yes, that's what we said. Didn't we use the word hell?
So, well, that reminded me of the idea that when people die and they have a strong belief in hell.
Well, that's a little different. Because the idea is they may bring immediately an experience of what they believed very strongly they would experience, but because in spirit reality things change instantly or almost instantly as you think something different, someone who is suddenly finding themselves burning in hell might instantly go, oh, I don't prefer this, and bang, they're out of it. Because they're in spirit where they can instantly change with very little time lag. That's a little different. Okay. They don't have the same entrapment mechanism in spirit that they might have in physical reality because of the definition of what physical reality is. So
this is, in a sense, a furtherance of the black box. This
Yes.
is a negative belief system that, as a physical being, if you engage with this negative belief system,
Yes.
it will ultimately tie your hands, in a sense, to where you don't realize that any other choices are possible.
Yes, that's the belief structure of those particular belief systems, yes.
Well, thank you. That's very
yes.
helpful.
You could say, in a sense, that there are, well, I'll just put it this way, hierarchies of negative beliefs and lower hierarchies of negative beliefs. Because that's what negative beliefs are all about. Separation into hierarchies instead of looking at whole systems. So it may make something seem so far down because it's creating those layers, it's creating an apparency of those layers that you start to feel like you're in a bottomless pit. That's why you describe hell as being below you. In a pit, a fiery pit from which there is no escape. Of course, that's not actually true because you can always escape by dying.
So that's the best part then, huh? That any entrapment that's created as a physical being
is temporary.
Is temporary because once you're in spirit, so to speak, you will immediately or very quickly recognize that you have other alternatives in terms of belief.
Because that's the very definition of being in spirit. You have a broader range of alternatives and options.
And you probably also have clearer communication with your guides at that point and others in your class, in a sense, to
Yes.
help you understand what's happening to you.
Yes. Now, that doesn't mean that there can't be and haven't been some individuals who are so structured and so resistant that they might have had some limited experience in what you call the lower spirit levels, the astral realms, where they might feel trapped or maybe not even know that they've died, and they need the guidance of a guide on that side to help them realize they've crossed over. That can happen, but it's not really as common as many people on your planet may think. And it's something that happened more often in the older days when you didn't have as many ideas about the afterlife as you do now. And so it's less likely you will choose to experience the idea of being earthbound as a spirit in a negative way. But you see, this is originally what exorcists were. They were earthbound spirit psychologists. You've died. Move on. Get a life. It's just that you've wrapped it all up in this horrifying picture of demons and poltergeists and so on and so forth. And some of that can exist, but again, not quite in the way that you may think. And some things you think of as trapped ghosts are simply echoes of a reality breaking through in the fabric of space and time, like a recording on wax or in a record that you're simply picking up on. It doesn't mean that there's actually a trapped spirit there. You may simply be picking up on an echo of something from another life somewhere else, because there might be bleed through in the parallel realities that you are sensitive enough to perceive. You have to be able to tell the difference.
So it's as if our entire relationship with death has slowly been evolving over, say, the last 100 years. I know probably longer, but
Yes.
the general idea being that we've gone from being utterly terrified that we'll go to hell
Yes.
if you make a mistake,
Yes.
to recognizing that life doesn't end at death.
No.
And that you can communicate with other consciousnesses that are on the other side through various means once you have clearer communication with your own higher self, I would imagine.
It's an infinite continuum.
So all of our evolutionary steps are being reflected in our change in the relationship with death.
Yes. Because it's a passage, a profound passage of realization and awakening for you.
So one of the questions that came up from Ustream was, how do I release the fear of losing a loved one?
Well, you have to first understand that your definition says they are lost. They're not. They're still around. You just have to learn how to communicate differently with them. It's like saying, I have lost a loved one because they've moved to Cincinnati. Can't you pick up the phone and call them? Yes, you can. Can't you maybe even in some way, shape, or form visit them? Well, yes, you can. Because you do that when you go to sleep and go out of body. You visit, you talk, you chat, you play. You can communicate when you are physically awake by being sensitive to the communications that may be coming from them. They will receive your communication, generally speaking, no problem. It's easier for them to hear you than it is for most of you to hear them at this point. But you're becoming more sensitive to hearing them. And again, remember, they communicate in different ways more often than not, mostly through synchronicity, not necessarily through words, although that can happen. And there are many other ways. So the idea is you're developing a different relationship with the idea even of what physical reality is. And when you know it's more like a dream, then you will understand that there doesn't have to be such a big separation in your definitions between the concept of physical and non-physical. They'll start to blend together. And as we do in our civilization, you will talk to spirits all the time, left and right. Our world is full of spirits that we talk to all the time. It's not just us walking around.
So it's really about changing your relationship with a loved one when they're not physically present, and not demeaning the fact that they're not physically there.
Yes.
Recognizing that as you focus on it and work within yourself, you can actually enhance the communication with that person.
Yes. Two things. Two important things to understand about this. Number one, many times a person will die, become non-physical ahead of you to lure you into more understanding, to focus on the spirit world, because that's where you need to look to understand yourself By trying to reach out and communicate with them, you stretch yourself and start understanding more about your true nature. So that's sometimes a gift that they give you by dying first and you needing to reach out to them. The other thing is to understand, one moment. One moment. We're having a chat. One moment. The Spirit asks that we stop there.
Okay.
There will be more on this at another time, because at another time, the information will have a more profound effect. Many of you will get the information in your dreams, rather than vocally this way. Continue